So unless you've been living under a rock, you know if you stack silver, that silver is now over $36 an ounce. And this is actually the second day in a row that it touched 36. So yesterday, actually, on June 5th of 2025, silver barely hit $36 an ounce, but it skyrocketed past 35, right? Now, today we wake up and silver is solidly over $36 an ounce, and it's taken a huge ride just in the last week. I mean, let's just take a quick look at what it's doing right now. Right now, silver is sitting at $36.49. This is up. Look at this 1 week ago on the screen. You can see 1 week ago today, Friday of May 30th, it closed at $32.99. Guys, we are up $3.50 from just 1 week ago. If I'm doing the math correctly in my head, that is over 10% in just one single week. And this has definitely been a run in silver because the GSR is down to 92.37. So we have also seen the GSR in that same week go from 99.71 down to 92.37. So as you know, in the past on this channel, I have been known to use the phrase cautious optimism. And what does that mean? That means I'm optimistic about what silver is doing. I really am. I'm actually quite excited about this, but I'm also being very cautious about it and making sure that I make the right stacking choices right now, especially with silver hitting $36 an ounce. Now, I say that because back when silver was 17, and by the way, silver was as low as 14, and I'm not talking about the COVID dip during the time of this channel, I wasn't being very cautious with my silver stacking. I was basically buying as much as I could, and there's a reason for that. I thought $14 an ounce was absolutely ridiculous for the price of silver. It should have never been that low, and it should never go that low again. But here's the thing. This is why I'm being cautiously optimistic when it comes to silver, is that even if I don't believe that it should, it definitely has. In fact, you know, I've been stacking, guys, for well over 2 decades now, and I think many of you know that. So I'm not new to this. I was around for 2011, 2012. Now, if you don't know what happened in 2011 or 2012 or in that area, silver rose to almost $50 an ounce. Now, it quickly dropped. It wasn't like a Silver Thursday scenario back in the 80s, but it quickly dropped back into the 30s, and it stayed there for a while. It hung out, but it slowly got down under, you know, in the mid 20s and then low 20s, and then hung around in the teens, like in the, you know, 16, 17 range, even $14 an ounce, as I mentioned before. And it stayed there for quite some time. So the reason I'm cautiously optimistic is I know that even though I don't think silver should ever be under, like, you know, $30 an ounce ever again, I know that it can happen. And that's why my optimism, as I said, is cautious. I'm being cautious because I know, even though I don't believe it, I don't think it should happen, it definitely can happen. It has happened before. Now, keep in mind, I don't think that this means that people should stop stacking silver. Not at all. I believe that silver, even at $36 an ounce, is still undervalued, and I'm still going to be stacking silver. But as I said earlier, you know, I'm being much more cautious and making more, we can say, rational decisions. I'm thinking twice and 3 times about what I'm actually adding to my deep stack, because it means a lot more to add something to my deep stack now than when silver was $14 or $17 or $18 an ounce. It means a lot more. You know, back then you could buy premium silver. You could buy Silver Eagles. Just if you guys are new to stacking and you don't know this, you could buy Silver Eagles for like $3.25 over spot. And if silver was at 17, that means you were getting Silver Eagles for 20. So back then, like I had said, it didn't make sense to care that much. You know, I'm like, wow, silver's so cheap. I'm going to buy, I'm going to keep buying. But now at $36 an ounce, especially with the fact that I did experience that drop in 2011, or after 2011, 2012, I'm being much more cautious and making sure that I get more silver for my money. So a perfect example is this right here. Now, if you were to ask me, and I'm not here to tell you that you should or should not stack silver, but if you were to say, hey, Seeker, I want to buy some silver, what should I buy? Now, keep in mind, everything I tell you is not financial advice. I'm just a guy on the other side of the microphone. But I would literally recommend right now 1 ounce generic rounds like these Buffaloes right here. I would recommend those. I would recommend 10-ounce silver bars. I would not, as much as I love them. And keep in mind, I absolutely love kilos. But I would not recommend kilos. They are pretty hard to sell. And yeah, you can get them cheap, but I wouldn't recommend kilos. But I would absolutely recommend 1 ounce Buffalo rounds. I would recommend 10-ounce silver bars because that's a good number. That's easy to move if you need to move 10 ounces. I mean, it's, you know, right now that's only $360 for a 10-ounce bar. And I know many of you aren't going to like me saying this, but I truly believe this, and I'm actually going to cover this in another video on Monday. So do me a favor, guys, if you want to make sure you don't miss out on that video, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on this button. That makes sure YouTube recommends you more of my videos, and it helps YouTube recommend this video to others. So do that for me. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed yet, you wouldn't believe how many people watch my channel and aren't even subscribed yet. But anyway, getting back on topic, I would recommend 90% silver. Now, many of you are going to look at what happened in 2023 and the premiums, and, you know, there were, and I wasn't one of them. I actually wasn't telling people to buy 90% silver in 2023. I was actually talking about how high the premiums were on 90% silver in 2023. And it was one of the things I was avoiding, just like I was avoiding silver eagles. So back then, you know, for people that were stacking silver, I was recommending, if you're buying silver, again, I'm not telling people they should or should not buy silver, but I was recommending to people that are going to be buying silver that 1 ounce rounds is the way to go. Well, here I am doing it again today, and basically for the same reason. But I'm also saying 90% is a good reason, or a good thing to get in your stack. And the reason for that is I'm going to show you this on Monday as well. We're going to talk about this as to why it happened. But the reason for that is 90% silver is dumb cheap. I have seen multiple sales from multiple online dealers for spot or really close. Actually, SD Bullion, my channel sponsor, I think it was last week. Maybe it was the week before. You know, time flies and, you know, everything meshes together. They had 90% $half for literally just melt. Like, you paid no premium. You bought a tube, you get it for free shipping because, you know, one roll of, you know, 90% silver halves is well over $200. So you get it for free shipping. You get it for melt price. You pay check or wire. You know what I mean? It was great. I just saw another bullion dealer, another big bullion dealer, that is offering 90% for 19 cents an ounce over spot. That's really crazy to be able to get silver that cheap. That is the cheapest silver you can buy right now, which is totally opposite of what was going on back in 2023 when the premiums on 90% were so sky high. Now, the issue with that is that I do understand that if you go to sell 90% silver right now, there's not a single coin shop on earth. I would bet, obviously I can't speak for every shop in the world, but I would bet there's not a single shop out there that's willing to pay you even full melt for 90%. But the reason I recommend 90% and the reason I recommend rounds and the reason I recommend 10-ounce bars is because if you're going to be buying silver at $36 an ounce, and this, like I had said, goes back to 2023 as well, because even though silver spot price wasn't, you know, $36 an ounce, people were paying, you know, there was a time there in 2023, people were paying $20 an ounce over spot for Eagle. So even at, you know, it's crazy, even at 36, I have an Eagle right here, even at $36 an ounce, the people that were paying $20 an ounce over spot for 1 ounce silver Eagles back then are not getting their premiums back. However, the 90%, because it wasn't as high premium-wise as Eagles, they actually are getting that back. So again, we'll talk more about that on Monday. But anyway, the reason I recommend rounds, the reason I recommend 10-ounce bars, and the reason I recommend 90% silver, if you're going to be buying silver, I'm not saying you should buy silver, but if you're going to be making that decision, if you're going to be buying silver even at $36 an ounce, the reason I'm recommending those is because you will get the most silver that you can for your money. And I believe, especially right now when prices are high, in getting the deepest stack possible. So I have actually cut back. I have not cut back on kilo bars. Like, if I find a really cool kilo bar, I will add to my stack, but that's because kilo bars have low premiums. But kilos are hard to sell, so that's why I really don't recommend them, especially for new stackers. But, you know, right now, I think the best thing to do, the best idea for people that are still wanting to add silver to their stack is just get as much as you can, because you have to pay so much more for it than you did just a few years ago. So if you're going to keep buying it, even at today's price, just get as much as you can. Have the deepest stack possible, the biggest stack possible, because I think as silver continues to go up, you're going to see more situations like what we've seen with 90%, like even what we've seen with rounds. The premiums, it's going to be really hard for you to get your premiums back on premium silver as the spot price continues to rise. The premiums on 90% disappear. The premiums on rounds are really low. They haven't completely disappeared, but they're low. The premiums on 10-ounce bars, I mean, these all had the premiums on Eagles. Actually, perfect example. The premiums on Eagles compared to what they were in 2023 are nothing. You can find dealers selling Eagles for $4.50 to $5 an ounce over spot. Actually, there is one dealer near me, local coin shop, selling Eagles right now for just under $4 an ounce over spot. And that's keeping in mind that the U.S. Mint charges $3.05 to authorized distributors. So the premium that they paid on Eagles in 2023, when the premium on these were like $18, $20 an ounce, they're never going to get that back, I don't think, especially as silver continues to rise, because I think what you're going to see is back in, 2017, 2018, when silver was so cheap, people like me were much less restrictive on what they bought. I mean, I was buying high premium stuff. I was buying collectible items. I was buying, Back to the Future coins and kookaburras and all these South Korean coins that I thought were cool. I'm like, man, these are great. These are awesome. I love them. And I still like those things. And I will still buy one here and there. But I'll just buy one. Back then, I would buy 20. I'd be like, you know what? I mean, $3 over spot. Silver's only at 17. Sure, I'm paying $20 for these, but they're really cool. Sure. Or 4 or 5 or whatever it was. I don't know. But my point is that the premiums were low back then. The spot price was low back then. And it's not the same today. But if you're adding to your stack, go low premium. Get as deep of a stack as possible. That's what I would tell people to do. And actually, Eagles, by the way, really not the worst thing to add either, because when you get close to that, if you can get them under $4 an ounce over spot, when you get close to that, the U.S. Mint sells them to authorized distributors for $3.05. If you can get really close to that number, I don't really think you can get hurt too bad, because, I mean, you can still today sell Eagles to some coin shops for $2 over spot. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.